Most people never live. They merely endure time, distracted by the past, anxious for the future, and blind to the miracle of now. To live in the present is not to ignore time, it is to master it. Most people are not living, they are remembering, or anticipating. But now, the only place life truly exists is missed entirely. You fear what's gone, you chase what has not yet come, and in doing so, you forfeit peace, power, and presence. But listen to me, the mind can be trained, the soul can be anchored, and life, real, vivid, fearless life, can be lived now. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Look at yourself for a moment. Truly look. What do you see? A warrior locked in eternal combat, not with external forces, but with the greatest adversary you'll ever face, your own mind. I am Marcus Aurelius, and I have fought this battle. As Emperor of Rome, I commanded legions, yet the fiercest conflicts I faced were not on bloody battlefields, but in the quiet moments when my mind waged war against the present moment. You know this war. Every day, your mind launches countless attacks. Against your peace, it bombards you with regrets about yesterday. It assaults you with anxieties about tomorrow. It fires endless volleys of distraction, pulling you from the only moment you can ever truly inhabit, now. This is not your fault. Your mind was designed for survival, not serenity. It evolved to scan constantly for threats, to remember past dangers, to anticipate future challenges. But in doing so, it creates a prison of time, a mental cage that keeps you forever trapped between what was and what might be. The cost of this war is immense. Your relationships suffer because you're never fully present with those you love. Your work suffers because your attention is fragmented, scattered across 1,000 imagined scenarios. Your joy suffers because you're too busy planning happiness to experience it. But here is what most don't understand. Presence is not a state to achieve. It is your natural condition. Think of a child at play, completely absorbed in the moment. That is your true nature. Everything else, all the mental chatter, all the time-traveling thoughts, these are learned habits. And what is learned can be unlearned. The first step in any battle is to know your enemy. Your mind will tell you that you need to think about the future to be prepared. It will insist that you must analyze the past to avoid mistakes. It will demand that you stay alert to every possible threat and opportunity. These are not truths. These are tactics your mind uses to maintain its control over your attention. Right now, as you listen to these words, notice how your mind tries to pull you away. Perhaps it offers thoughts about what you'll do later. Perhaps it reminds you of something you should have done differently. Perhaps it judges these very words, comparing them to other things you've heard or read. This is the war within. But here is the profound truth that changed my life as a ruler and a man. You are not these thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. You are the consciousness that observes this mental activity, and in this awareness lies your power. When I led armies, I learned that you cannot win a war without understanding the battlefield. Your battlefield is the present moment. Your weapon is attention. Your strategy is not to fight thoughts, but to observe them with detachment. Let them come, let them go, while you remain rooted in the now. The present moment is not weak. It is not passive. It is the most powerful force in existence. Everything that has ever happened or will happen can only occur in the present. By learning to live here, you tap into a source of strength that no external circumstance can diminish. This is why I wrote in my meditations, confine yourself to the present, not as a philosophical ideal, but as a practical strategy for living. When you truly understand that the present moment is all you ever have, all you ever will have, the war begins to lose its power. Your mind will resist this truth. It will create emergencies, manufacture urgencies, conjure futures that demand your immediate attention. But ask yourself, in this moment, are you breathing? Is your heart beating? Do you have what you need right now? The answer is almost always yes. The war within can end, not through victory, but through understanding, through the profound realization that the peace you seek is not waiting in some imagined future. It is here, now, in this breath, in this moment, in this awareness. Begin here. Begin now. Notice your breath. Feel the weight of your body. Hear the sounds around you. This is not escape. This is arrival. This is the first step in mastering the art of presence. Consider this truth that few ever grasp. Time exists only in your mind. The past you cling to, the future you fear. These are thoughts, nothing more. They are stories you tell yourself, and like all stories, they have power only if you believe them. I learned this truth not in the marble halls of Rome, but in the quiet moments between decisions that would shape an empire. As emperor, I was surrounded by time's illusions. Advisors spoke constantly of historical precedents, of future threats, of looming deadlines. But in moments of clarity, I saw through these phantoms. What you call the past is merely memory. And memory is not reliable. It changes with each recall, colored by your present state of mind. The conversation you replay from last week, the mistake you've carried for years, the golden moments you yearn to return to, none of these exist except as electrical patterns in your brain right now. And the future? It is imagination. Nothing more. Your mind creates elaborate scenarios, detailed predictions, intricate plans. But these are not reality. They are thoughts occurring in the present moment. Every anxiety, every hope, every fear about tomorrow exists only in your mind today. Here is what most people don't understand. When you worry about the future, you are not dealing with the future. You are dealing with present moment thoughts about the future. When you regret the past, you are not examining history. You are experiencing present moment thoughts about memory. This insight liberates you. If time is a thought, then your relationship with time can change. Just as you can observe any other thought without becoming it, you can observe your thoughts about time without being enslaved by them. Think of how much of your life is stolen by these illusions. You rush through precious moments, thinking of what's next. You poison beautiful experiences with anxiety about their ending. You miss the sunrise worrying about noon. You ignore your child's laughter planning for their future. You sacrifice your peace today for a tomorrow that exists only in your mind. But there is a deeper truth. Life can only be lived now. This is not philosophy, it is physics. Change can only occur in the present moment. Growth happens now. Healing happens now. Love happens now. Understanding happens now. Every significant moment in your life, every revelation, every achievement, every connection, it all happened in a present moment. Your mind will resist this truth. It will tell you that without constant thought about past and future, you cannot function in the world. This is another illusion. The most effective action comes from present awareness, not from being lost in mental time travel. Look at nature. A tree does not worry about its leaves falling. A river does not rush to reach the ocean. A lion does not hunt tomorrow's prey. They exist fully in the present, and in doing so, they fulfill their nature perfectly. You have been taught that time is a line stretching from past to future, but this is a mental construct, a way of organizing experience. The reality is that life is a series of present moments, each complete in itself. When you truly understand this, planning becomes different. Instead of losing yourself in future scenarios, you plan from presence. Instead of being haunted by the past, you learn from it without living in it. This is not about ignoring time. It is about seeing it clearly for what it is, a thought tool, useful when needed, but not the reality in which you live. The reality is always now. Your power is always now. Your life is always now. The next time your mind pulls you into the past or pushes you into the future, remember, these are thoughts arising in the present moment. You can acknowledge them without becoming them. You can plan without leaving now. You can remember without abandoning presence. This is the great liberation, realizing that time's prison exists only in thought. Step out of mental time and you step into the fullness of life, here, now, where everything real has always been. Do not be fooled by those who speak of presence as if it were a gentle drift downstream. Presence is a discipline as demanding as any art of war. It requires vigilance, determination, and daily practice. Like a soldier training for battle, you must prepare your mind for the challenge of staying present. I speak not from theory, but from experience. As emperor, every moment demanded decisions that would echo through history. Yet I discovered that the quality of these decisions depended not on how much I thought about them, but on how present I was while making them. The discipline of now begins with a simple but profound understanding. Your attention is your life. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. Most people scatter their attention like coins thrown to a crowd, a little here, a little there, until they are left with nothing. Here is your first task. Choose one ordinary activity today. Could be drinking water, walking to your door, or washing your hands. Commit to being fully present for this one action. Notice the sensations. Feel the weight, the temperature, the texture. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back. This is not meditation. This is life practice. The mind resists this discipline. It prefers its habits of wandering, its addictions to distraction. It will create emergencies, manufacture urgencies, anything to pull you from the present moment. Recognize these for what they are, resistance to reality. But here is what most don't understand about the discipline of now. It is not about forcing your mind into silence. It is about developing the strength to choose where your attention goes. Like a muscle, this strength grows with use. Throughout my reign, I developed specific practices. When advisors brought problems, I would first ground myself in the present moment, feeling my breath, noting my posture, observing the room's temperature. This was not escape. This was preparation for clear action. You must do the same. Create anchors for your attention. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you listen, listen. This sounds simple, but it is a warrior's discipline. Most people eat while thinking about work, walk while lost in worries, listen while planning their response. The discipline of now requires that you face an uncomfortable truth. Most of what occupies your mind is unnecessary. Most of your worries never materialize. Most of your plans never unfold as imagined. Most of your mental activity is habit, not necessity. Train yourself to recognize the difference between necessary thought and mental noise. When you need to plan, plan fully present. When you need to remember, remember fully present. But do not let your mind drag you into endless cycles of unnecessary thinking. Here is a practice I used as emperor. Before every important meeting, I would take 3 conscious breaths, not rushing, not thinking about the meeting, just experiencing the breath. This small discipline created a space of clarity that improved every decision. You must develop your own practices. Perhaps it's pausing before entering your home, feeling your feet on the ground. Perhaps it's taking 1 minute each hour to observe your surroundings without judgment. These are not interruptions to your day. They are investments in presence. The discipline of now also requires that you accept imperfection. Your mind will wander. You will get lost in thought. This is not failure. The discipline is in coming back, again and again, to the present moment. Remember this: every moment of presence strengthens your capacity for presence. Every time you catch yourself lost in thought and return to now, you build the muscle of awareness. This is how discipline becomes nature. I required this discipline from my generals, clear minds for clear decisions. I require it now from you. Presence for powerful living. Do not wait for presence to find you. Do not expect it to arrive with the next achievement or the next relationship. It is a discipline, and the time to begin is now. Start with this moment. Feel the weight of your body. Notice your breath. Observe your surroundings. This is not escape from life. This is entry into life. This is the discipline that transforms existence into living. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, for this truth changed how I ruled an empire. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that witnesses them. This distinction is not philosophical wordplay. It is the key to freedom. Every day, thousands of thoughts parade through your mind. Opinions, judgments, memories, fears, plans. Like clouds across the sky, they come and go. But you are not these passing clouds. You are the vast sky that witnesses them all. I discovered this truth in the midst of war councils and political intrigues. As emperor, my mind was filled with thoughts of strategy, of threats, of decisions that could shape the fate of millions. But in moments of clarity, I saw that I was not these thoughts. I was the consciousness observing them. Your mind is like a skilled advisor who never stops talking. It offers opinions on everything, your past actions, your future possibilities, your worth, your challenges. But like any advisor, it can be wrong. And like any advisor, it should be heard, but not automatically obeyed. Here is what most people don't understand. Thoughts are events happening within consciousness, not commands that must be followed. When a thought of worry appears, you don't have to become worried. When a thought of anger arises, you don't have to become angry. You can witness these thoughts without becoming them. Think of it this way. If you are your thoughts, who is the one watching them? If you are your thoughts, who is aware of them? There must be an awareness that exists prior to thought, a consciousness that thoughts appear within. This is not mere theory. Right now, as you listen to these words, notice the thoughts that arise. Perhaps you agree with what's being said. Perhaps you disagree. Perhaps your mind wanders to other matters. Now notice that you are aware of all. These thoughts, this awareness is what you are. Your mind will resist this truth. It will say, but my thoughts are me. They define who I am. This itself is just another thought. Watch it arise. Watch it try to convince you. Watch it pass. You remain the unchanging awareness behind all thoughts. I required this understanding from my closest advisors. Learn to distinguish between useful thoughts and mental noise. A general planning battle strategy needs clear thought, but a general lost in worry about possible failures is trapped in mental noise. The same is true for you. Some thoughts are useful tools, planning your day, solving problems, creating strategies. But most thoughts are mental noise, repetitive worries, old regrets, imagined scenarios that never come to pass. Here's a practice I used daily. Sit quietly for a moment. Notice your thoughts as they arise. Don't try to stop them. Simply observe them. Notice how they come and go. Notice how you remain, watching them all. This is not meditation. This is self-knowledge. When a thought of worry appears, say to yourself, I notice a thought of worry. When a thought of anger arises, say, I notice a thought of anger. This simple practice creates space between you, the awareness, and the thoughts you're witnessing. The power of this understanding is immense. When you know you are not your thoughts, they lose their grip on you. Anxiety becomes just anxious thinking. Fear becomes fearful thinking. You remain untouched, like the sky above the storms. This doesn't mean suppressing thoughts or trying to empty your mind. Thoughts will come. That is their nature. But when you know you are not them, you gain the power to choose which thoughts to engage with and which to let pass. Remember, thoughts are tools, not masters. Use them when they serve you, for planning, for creating, for solving problems. But don't let them use you. Don't let them pull you into endless cycles of worry, regret, or anxiety. You are the silent witness, the unchanging awareness in which all thoughts arise and pass. This is not a concept to believe, but a truth to experience. Notice it now. Feel the spaciousness of being the awareness rather than the contents of awareness. In this understanding lies true power, not the power to control thoughts, but the power to be free of their control. This is how you master your mind without fighting it. This is how you find peace without seeking it. This is how you live fully without being lost in thought. To see deeply is to live deeply. But most people move through life with their inner eye closed, missing the profound significance hidden in ordinary moments. Today, I will teach you how to open this eye of awareness, the same practice that allowed me to see both the grandeur of Rome and the simplicity of a morning breeze with equal clarity. Most humans look without seeing. They hear without listening. They touch without feeling. Their senses are dulled by speed, by habit, by the constant rush toward what's next. But true power lies in reclaiming the acuteness of your senses, in training yourself to notice what others miss. Begin with your immediate surroundings. Whatever space you're in right now, stop. Look around, as if you've never seen it before. Notice the play of light and shadow. Observe the textures of surfaces. Listen to the subtle sounds that usually fade into background noise. This is not mere observation. It is training in presence. When I walked the streets of Rome, I trained myself to notice everything, not just the obvious, the architecture, the crowds, the commerce, but the subtle, how the morning light changed the color of the marble, how the wind carried different scents at different hours, how the mood of the city shifted with the angle of the sun. Here is what most don't understand. Your senses are not passive receivers. They are skills that can be sharpened. Like a sword that grows sharper with proper care, your ability to see, hear, and feel deeply grows stronger with conscious practice. Try this now. Focus on your breath, not changing it, just noticing it. Feel the subtle movements in your body as you breathe. Notice the temperature of the air as it enters and leaves your nostrils. Observe the slight pause between inhale and exhale. This is not meditation. This is awakening your inner eye. The world reveals itself to those who learn to look properly. When I held court, I trained myself to notice not just what people said, but how they said it. The slight tremor in a voice, the subtle shift in posture, the momentary hesitation, these told me more than words ever could. You must develop this. Same sensitivity. When you eat, notice not just the basic taste, but the complex layers of flavor. When you walk, feel not just the movement, but the countless micro-adjustments your body makes with each step. When you listen to someone speak, hear not just their words, but the emotions carried in their tone. This practice requires slowing down. The inner eye cannot open when you're rushing. This is why I insisted on periods of silence and solitude, even amid the constant demands of empire. In these moments of quiet attention, the world becomes vivid, alive, speaking in a language of direct experience. Do not mistake this for passive observation. The inner eye is active, engaged, alert. It requires energy and intention. Each moment of deep seeing is an act of creation. You are creating clarity, creating understanding, creating connection with reality. Here is a practice I use daily. Choose one sense to focus on for a set period. Perhaps spend 10 minutes only focusing on sounds, noticing their layers, their distances, their interactions. The next day, focus on visual details, then touch, then smell. This systematic training will awaken your inner eye. Remember, what you notice becomes your life. If you notice only problems, life becomes problematic. If you notice only lack, life becomes insufficient. But when you train your inner eye to notice depth, beauty, and complexity, life reveals its true richness. This is not about seeking extraordinary experiences. It's about discovering the extraordinary within the ordinary. The play of sunlight on your wall contains as much beauty as any palace ceiling. The sound of rain holds as much music as any symphony. Your breath carries as much mystery as any philosophical treatise. As your inner eye opens, you'll discover something profound. The world has always been speaking to you. In every moment, reality offers its wisdom. But this wisdom can only be received by those who have trained themselves to see deeply, to listen fully, to feel completely. Let this be your practice today. See as if everything were new. Listen as if every sound were music. Feel as if every sensation were a message from the universe. This is not poetic metaphor. It is practical instruction for awakening your inner eye. There is a truth that modern humans resist with all their might, yet it remains immutable. You must slow down, or life will drag you through existence like a horse dragging a fallen rider. I learned this not in moments of leisure, but in the crucible of imperial responsibility. As emperor, every moment held urgent demands, barbarians at the borders, political intrigues in the Senate, administrative decisions that affected millions. Yet I discovered that the more pressing the matters became, the more crucial it was to slow down. Speed is the enemy of wisdom. Look at your life now. You rush from task to task, deadline to deadline, appointment to appointment. Your mind races ahead while your body hurries to catch up. You eat without tasting, move without feeling, speak without considering. And you call this living? Here is what most don't understand. Speed is not power. It is weakness disguised as strength. When you rush, you become shallow. When you hurry, you miss the essential. When you race through life, you don't arrive faster. You arrive exhausted, empty, and unaware of the journey. The universe itself teaches this lesson. Mountains are not built in days. Trees do not grow in hours. Great ideas do not form in seconds. Everything of value requires the patience to unfold at its natural pace. Try this now. Whatever you're doing, cut your speed in half. If you're walking, walk slower. If you're speaking, speak slower. If you're working, move through your tasks with deliberate awareness. Notice how your mind rebels. Notice how it insists that you must hurry. These are the chains you must break. I impose this discipline on myself daily. Before making vital decisions, I would intentionally slow my movements, my breathing, my thinking. This was not delay. It was preparation for clear action. The slower I moved, the more I saw. The more I saw, the wiser my decisions became. Your resistance to slowing down comes from fear, fear of falling behind, fear of missing out, fear of not being enough. But consider this. What are you actually missing by moving so fast? What wisdom slips past while you rush? What beauty goes unseen? What connections remain unmade? Here is a practice I used in the midst of imperial duties. Between each activity, I would pause, not a hurried transition, but a conscious pause. 3 breaths, a moment to arrive fully in the next task. This simple practice changed everything, not by slowing time, but by deepening it. You must develop your own practices of slowing down. Perhaps it's taking twice as long to eat your meals. Perhaps it's walking at half your usual pace for 5 minutes each day. Perhaps it's speaking at a pace that feels uncomfortably slow. These are not wastes of time. They are investments in presence. The mind will protest. It will show you images of all you could be doing instead. It will remind you of deadlines, obligations, expectations. Watch these thoughts arise and choose slowness anyway. This is how you break the addiction to speed. Remember, being busy is not the same as being effective. Moving fast is not the same as moving purposefully. Activity is not achievement. True power lies not in how much you can rush through, but in how deeply you can engage with each moment. When I walked the streets of Rome, citizens would rush to bring their concerns to me. I made it my practice to slow down even more in these moments. This was not indifference to their urgency. It was respect for the importance of their needs. Only in slowness could I give them my full attention. You must learn to distinguish between true urgency and manufactured emergency. Very few things in life require genuine speed. Most deadlines are arbitrary. Most rush is habit. Most urgency is illusion. This is not a call to become passive or lazy. It is an invitation to move at the pace of wisdom rather than the pace of Fear, to act with purpose rather than react with panic, to live deeply rather than skim across the surface of existence. Begin now. Feel the weight of your body. Notice your breath. Observe the space around you. Let your next action arise not as from habit or compulsion, but from aware presence. This is not wasting time. This is finding time. This is not falling behind. This is arriving where you truly need to be. Consider the absurdity of what most humans do. They carry the weight of yesterday as if it could change tomorrow. They drag their regrets behind them like prisoners dragging chains, then wonder why they cannot move forward freely. I speak not from perfect detachment, but from the hard-won wisdom of an emperor who had to learn to release the weight of countless decisions. Let this truth sink deeply into your consciousness. Nothing from yesterday can be changed. Not a word, not an action, not a decision. The past is as fixed as marble, as unchangeable as death. Yet you waste your precious life force trying to reshape what cannot be reshaped. I face this challenge daily. Every decision as emperor affected countless lives. Choose war or peace, mercy or justice, act now or wait. Each choice carried consequences that could haunt the conscience. But I learned that regret serves no purpose except to poison the present moment. Here is what most don't understand. Regret is not wisdom. Learning from the past is wisdom. Regret is emotional attachment to alternative histories that never existed and never could exist. It is a form of self-torture that masquerades as responsibility. Think of your current regrets, that relationship you ended, that opportunity you missed, that moment you wish you had handled differently. Notice how your mind creates detailed visions of how things could have been. These are not insights. They are fantasies that steal your present power. Try this now. Bring to mind your deepest regret. Feel its weight. Now understand, truly understand, that it cannot be changed. Not through 1,000 years of wishing, not through endless self-recrimination, not through the most sincere remorse. What happened, happened, period. This is not about dismissing responsibility. When I made mistakes as emperor, I acknowledged them, I learned from them, but I did not carry them. The moment the lesson was learned, the weight was released. This is the way of strength. Your mind will resist this teaching. It will say, but if I stop regretting, I might make the same mistakes again. This is confusion. Memory informs. Experience teaches. Regret only paralyzes. Here is a practice I used when regret arose. I would name it clearly. This is regret about the past. Then I would ask, what can be changed in this moment? The answer was always the same. Only my present response could be changed. This clarity dissolved the regret immediately. You must develop your own practice of release. Perhaps it's writing down your regrets and physically burning the paper. Perhaps it's speaking them aloud and following each with the words, "This cannot be changed, and I release it." Find what works to break the spell of past-focused thinking. Remember, every moment spent in regret is a moment stolen from present possibility. While you stare backward at what cannot be changed, life moves forward without you. This is the true cost of carrying yesterday's weight. When I visited provinces destroyed by war or natural disaster, I never found citizens rebuilding their homes by wishing the destruction hadn't happened. They accepted what was and worked with what remained. This is your task now, to accept what has been and work with what is. The past exists now only as memory, but you are not your memories. You are the living, breathing awareness in which memories arise and pass. When you know this deeply, regret loses its grip. The past becomes what it truly is, a story that only has power if you believe it defines you. Start here. Take your heaviest regret and see it clearly for what it is. Thoughts arising now about events that no longer exist. Feel the freedom in this recognition. Your past actions may have had consequences, but your present regret serves no one. This teaching is not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of what cannot be changed. It's about reclaiming the energy that regret steals. It's about becoming fully available to now, the only moment where change is possible. Let the dead weight of regret fall from your shoulders. Stand straight in the present moment. Your past does not define you unless you insist on carrying it forward. Release it and feel the lightness of being fully present, fully alive, fully free to act from now rather than react from then. Listen carefully, for I am about to expose the greatest thief you will ever encounter, one that steals not gold or possessions, but life itself. This thief is your preoccupation with the future. As emperor, I faced this thief daily, watching it attempt to steal not just my peace, but the peace of an entire empire. The human mind is a remarkable instrument, capable of projecting itself forward in time, imagining scenarios, planning responses. This ability helped our species survive, but like a sword that cuts its wielder, this gift has become a curse. You live not in the reality of now, but in the shadows of what might be. Consider how much of your current suffering comes not from what is happening, but from what you fear might happen. You worry about losing your job before any threat appears. You fear illness while healthy. You anticipate rejection before speaking. You suffer 1,000 imagined deaths while fully alive. Here is what most don't understand. The future you fear does not exist. It never has and never will. What you call the future is merely a collection of thoughts occurring now. These thoughts are not reality. They are predictions, projections, possibilities. But you treat them as if they were facts. I learned this truth through governing an empire. Every day brought reports of possible threats, potential betrayals, imagined disasters. Had I lived in these shadows of what might be, I would have been paralyzed. Instead, I learned to distinguish between useful preparation and useless anxiety. Try this now. Notice your thoughts about tomorrow, next week, next year. Observe how your mind creates detailed scenarios, most of them threatening. See how each of these thoughts steals your attention from the only moment you can actually live, this one. Your mind will defend its future-focused habit. It will say, "But I must plan, I must prepare, I must be ready." Yes, planning has its place, but be honest. How much of your future thinking is actual planning and how much is useless anxiety? Disguised as preparation? When I prepared for battle, I didn't waste energy imagining every possible way I might die. I focused on what could be done now, training troops, securing supplies, studying terrain. This is the difference between future thinking that serves and future thinking that steals. Here is a practice I used daily. Whenever I caught myself lost in future scenarios, I would ask, what needs my attention right now? This simple question brought me back from useless projection to useful presence. The future disappeared and reality returned. You must develop your own practices to catch this thief. Perhaps it's setting specific times for planning and refusing to entertain future thoughts outside these times. Perhaps it's labeling future thoughts as they arise, planning or worrying, and letting the worries pass without engagement. Remember, every moment spent in the imagined future is a moment stolen from your actual life. While you worry about tomorrow's problems, today's opportunities pass unseen. While you dream of future happiness, present joy goes unexperienced. The future is not your enemy. Planning has its place, but planning happens now. Preparation happens now. Even change happens now. The future never arrives. It is always now that arrives, again and again and again. When I received reports of barbarian movements on the frontier, I didn't waste energy imagining every possible disaster. I assessed what was known now, planned what could be done now, and acted now. This is the way of power. Full engagement with what is, not dispersion into what might be. Your mind is like a general who keeps leaving his post to scout imaginary threats, while real battles go unwon. Call it back, anchor it in now. Let it serve you here, where life actually happens, rather than waste its power in futures that may never come. This is not about ignoring tomorrow. It's about recognizing that tomorrow only exists as thought, while life only exists as now. When you truly understand this, planning becomes clear, action becomes powerful, and anxiety loses its grip. Begin here. Notice how often your thoughts move to the future. Notice how this movement takes you away from your actual life. Notice how much energy you spend on what might happen instead of what is happening. Then, gently but firmly, return to now. This is not a practice. This is awakening to reality. Most humans misunderstand the nature of strength. They associate it with movement, with action, with noise. But I tell you this, from the experience of one who commanded legions, true power lies in stillness, not the stillness of inaction, but the stillness of unshakable presence. Think of a mountain. It does not strive to be strong. It does not flex its muscles or announce its power. It simply remains, unmoved by storms, unchanged by seasons. This is the kind of strength I speak of, not the strength of doing, but the strength of being. As emperor, I discovered this truth in the midst of chaos. When armies clashed, when conspiracies threatened, when disasters struck, true power came. Not from frantic action, but from centered stillness. The more urgent the situation, the more crucial the stillness became. Here is what most don't understand. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the source of right movement. Like a deep lake, whose surface may ripple with waves while its depths remain undisturbed, you can act in the world while maintaining inner stillness. Your mind resists this teaching. It believes that strength means constant activity, that power means perpetual motion. But look at nature. The sun doesn't struggle to shine. The earth doesn't strain to spin. The greatest powers in existence operate from unchanging stillness. Try this now. Wherever you are, become still. Not just physically, though that is where it begins, but still in your core. Feel the ground or surface supporting you. Let your breath move naturally. Notice the silence that exists beneath all sound. This is not meditation. This is discovering your true strength. I required this practice from my generals before battle, a moment of complete stillness before action, not to calm their fears, but to access their power. A warrior in stillness sees clearly, moves decisively, acts effectively. A warrior in agitation sees threats everywhere, moves reactively, acts desperately. The same is true for you. When you face challenges, the urges to move, to act, to do something, anything, to affect the situation. But first, be still. Let stillness inform your action. Let stillness guide your response. This is not passivity. This is power. Here is a practice I used in the imperial court. Before speaking, I would touch the stillness within. Before deciding, I would rest in motionless awareness. Before acting, I would find the quiet center. This practice changed not just my actions, but the entire atmosphere around me. You must develop your own relationship with stillness. Perhaps it's standing like a mountain for 5 minutes each morning. Perhaps it's finding the space between thoughts during daily activities. Perhaps it's practicing stillness in the midst of movement. The form matters less than the recognition. Stillness is strength. Remember, agitation weakens, reactivity depletes, constant motion exhausts. But stillness restores, stillness empowers, stillness reveals. Every great decision I made as emperor came not from agitated thinking, but from unshakable stillness. When you are still, you connect with what cannot be disturbed. Your thoughts may race, your emotions may surge, the world may chaos, but beneath it all, like the depths of the ocean beneath storm-tossed waves, perfect stillness remains. This is not about becoming passive. The greatest actions arise from stillness. The clearest words emerge from silence. The most effective responses come from unshakable presence. Stillness is not the opposite of action. It is the foundation of right action. Think of a skilled archer. The power of the shot comes not from the release, but from the stillness before the release. The more perfect the stillness, the more powerful the arrow's flight. Your life is the arrow. Let stillness guide its course. Do not seek stillness as an escape from life. Seek it as an entrance into life. When you are truly still, you don't withdraw from the world. You engage with it more fully, more powerfully, more effectively than ever before. Begin now. Let your body become still. Let your breath become quiet. Let your mind settle. Notice the strength that emerges not from doing, but from being. This is your true power, not the power to make things happen, but the power to be undisturbed by whatever happens. There is a truth about pain that few are willing to face. It must be met with presence, not escape. As emperor, I witnessed suffering on scales both personal and imperial. I learned that how we meet pain determines not just our suffering, but our very character. Most humans react to pain in one of two ways. They either resist it, creating more suffering, or they try to escape it, weakening their spirit. But there is a third way, the way of presence. This is not endurance through gritted teeth. This is clear-eyed acceptance of what is. Consider physical pain. When it arises, notice your instant reaction to tense against it, to wish it away, to seek immediate relief. But what happens when you meet pain with presence? When you observe it without resistance? When you face it without fleeing? Something remarkable occurs. Here is what most don't understand. Pain and suffering are not the same thing. Pain is inevitable, a natural part of human existence. Suffering is what we add to pain through resistance, through fear, through attachment to comfort. Present awareness can transform pain without eliminating it. I learned this truth not in philosophical contemplation, but in the reality of governance, physical ailments, emotional wounds, the pain of difficult decisions. All these were constant companions, but I discovered that meeting them with presence rather than resistance changed everything. Try this now. If you feel any discomfort, physical or emotional, don't try to change it. Don't try to escape it. Instead, bring your full attention to it. Notice its qualities, its location, its intensity. Notice how it changes moment to moment. This is not surrender to pain. This is mastery of it. Your mind will protest this practice. It will insist that pain must be eliminated immediately, that suffering must be escaped at all costs. This is the mind's habitual reaction, born of fear. But fear of pain causes more suffering than pain itself. When I received news of defeat in battle or betrayal in politics, my practice was not to escape the pain of it, but to meet it fully, to feel its impact without adding stories of catastrophe, to experience the discomfort without amplifying it through resistance. Here is a practice I used daily. Whatever pain arose, I would name it clearly. This is physical discomfort. This is emotional pain. This is the pain of loss. Then I would meet it with presence, watching how it moved, how it changed, how it eventually passed without my interference. You must develop your own practice of presence in pain. Perhaps it's staying with physical discomfort for a few breaths before reaching for relief. Perhaps it's feeling emotional pain without immediately seeking distraction. Perhaps it's facing fear without trying to think your way out of it. Remember, what you resist persists. What you face with presence transforms, not because presence eliminates pain, but because it changes your relationship with it. Pain met with presence becomes your teacher rather than your tormentor. When citizens brought their suffering to me, I did not offer false comfort or immediate solutions. I offered presence, the full attention that acknowledges pain without being consumed by it. This is what true strength looks like, the ability to stay present with what is difficult. Your instinct to escape pain is natural, but misguided. Every time you run from discomfort, you reinforce the belief that you cannot handle it. Every time you meet pain with presence, you develop the capacity to face anything life brings. This is not about seeking pain or glorifying suffering. It's about developing the strength to stay present with whatever arises. When you can do this, pain loses its power to control you. It becomes simply another experience to be met with awareness. Begin here. Notice your automatic reactions to discomfort. Notice how quickly you seek escape. Notice the ways you try to numb, distract, or resist. Then, just for a moment, try something different. Meet the discomfort with presence. This is how warriors are made. The untrained mind is like a ship without an anchor, tossed by every wave of thought, blown by every wind of emotion. I speak not as one naturally disciplined, but as one who learned through governing an empire that an anchored mind is the foundation of all power. Most humans live at the mercy of their thoughts, believing that a wandering mind is their natural state. But I tell you this, the mind can be anchored, not through force, not through suppression, but through the skillful use of attention. Think of your mind as a great vessel. Without an anchor, it drifts aimlessly, carried by currents of thought and emotion. But with proper anchoring, it remains stable even in storms. This stability is not rigid. It is the stability of conscious presence. Here's what most don't understand. Anchoring the mind is not about forcing it to be still. It's about giving it a home base, a point of return. Like a diving bird that plunges into the depths but always returns to the same branch, your mind can explore while staying anchored. I developed this practice through years of imperial duties. Each decision, each crisis, each triumph threatened to carry my mind away. But I discovered that certain anchors, properly placed, could hold steady the ship of consciousness in any weather. Try this now. Feel the weight of your body where it contacts the surface beneath you. Feel the movement of breath in your body. Notice the space around you. These are not mere sensations. They are anchors, always available, always present, always reliable. Your mind resists anchoring. It believes its power lies in constant movement, in endless thinking, in ceaseless activity. But true power lies in the ability to return, again and again, to points of conscious awareness. When I held court, listening to endless petitions and disputes, I maintained three anchors: the sensation of my feet on the ground, the weight of the imperial ring on my finger, and the sound of my own breath. These were not escape routes. They were returns to presence. Here is a practice I used daily. Before any important action, I would touch each of my anchors in turn: ground, ring, breath. This was not ritual. It was training in presence. Each anchor brought me back to the reality of now, where all true power resides. You must develop your own anchors. Perhaps it's the feeling of your hands resting on your legs. Perhaps it's the sensation of air on your face. Perhaps it's the subtle sound of your own heartbeat. The specific anchors matter less than your relationship with them. Remember, an anchor is useless unless you use it. Having anchors is not enough. You must practice returning to them. Every time your mind wanders, every time emotions surge, every time thoughts threaten to carry you away, return to your anchors. In moments of crisis, I would first check my anchors before taking action. This was not delay, it was preparation. A mind that knows its anchors can weather any storm, face any challenge, make any decision from a place of stable awareness. The key is consistency. Don't wait for difficulties to practice anchoring. Use your anchors in ordinary moments. Let them become as natural as breathing. Then, when challenges arise, your mind will know the way home. This is not about controlling thoughts. Thoughts will come and go. That is their nature. This is about having points of return, conscious anchors, that remain steady regardless of mental weather. Begin now. Choose your anchors. Make them simple, immediate, always available. Practice returning to them throughout your day, not as a way to escape life, but as a way to enter it more fully, more consciously, more powerfully. Let your anchors be your allies in presence. When emotions run high, return to your anchors. When thoughts multiply, return to your anchors. When confusion reigns, return to your anchors. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of mental training. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate thoughts or emotions. The goal is to have stable points of return, conscious anchors that allow you to remain present regardless of inner or outer conditions. This is how you master your mind without fighting it. Listen carefully to what I am about to share, for this is a truth that transformed my rule as emperor. Your body is the most reliable portal to presence. While the mind wanders through time, the body remains stubbornly, perfectly present. It knows no other way to be. Most humans live as if they were merely minds housed in bodies. They treat their bodies as vehicles, as servants, as obstacles to overcome. But I tell you this, your body is the anchor to reality, the bridge to presence, the doorway to now. Consider this profound truth. Your body has never left the present moment. It cannot worry about tomorrow. It cannot regret yesterday. It exists only now. While your mind travels through time, your body remains, always and only, in the immediate present. Here is what most don't understand. The body is not just a machine to be maintained. It is a gateway to presence, a teacher of wisdom, a portal to now. Every sensation, every breath, every heartbeat is an invitation to return to the reality of the present moment. I discovered this truth not through philosophical contemplation, but through the demands of empire. When decisions weighed heavily, when strategies confused, when the future seemed uncertain, returning to bodily presence always restored clarity. Try this now. Feel the sensations in your hands, not thinking about them, not naming them, just feeling them directly. Notice how this immediate physical awareness draws you instantly into the present moment. This is not a technique. It is a portal to reality. Your mind will resist this teaching. It believes that answers lie in more thinking, more analyzing, more planning. But the body offers a different wisdom, the wisdom of direct experience, of immediate knowing, of present reality. When I walked the streets of Rome, I made it my practice to feel each step, to notice each breath, to sense the air on my skin. This was not mere sensation-seeking, it was using the body as a constant reminder of the reality of now. Here is a practice I used daily. Whenever confusion arose, I would immediately shift attention to bodily sensation, not to escape the confusion, but to ground myself in reality before responding. The body became my portal back to clarity. You must develop your own relationship with bodily presence. Perhaps it's feeling your feet as you walk. Perhaps it's noticing your posture as you sit. Perhaps it's sensing the subtle movements of breath throughout the day. The specific practice matters less than the recognition. The body is always now. Remember, while thoughts can deceive, the body always tells the truth. It shows you exactly where tension lives, where fear resides, where peace can be found. Learn to read its language of sensation, and you have a constant guide to presence. In moments of decision, I would first check my bodily state. Was there tension, ease, restriction, expansion? The body's wisdom often revealed what the mind's calculations missed. This is not mysticism. It is practical use of your most reliable instrument of knowing. Your body offers countless portals to presence. The sensation of breath, the feeling of gravity, the touch of air on skin, the weight of your body on a surface. Each sensation is a doorway back to now, an invitation to return to reality. This is not about becoming fixated on physical sensation. It's about recognizing that while the mind can imagine past and future, the body remains reliably, inevitably present. Use this truth. Let physical sensation be your pathway back to now. Begin here. Notice how your body feels right now. Not what you think about how it feels, but the direct, immediate sensation of being in a body. This is your portal to presence, always available, always reliable, always true. Between every event and your response to it lies a space. This space, this pause, contains your greatest power. As emperor, I discovered that the quality of my rule depended not on controlling events, but on mastering this space between event and response. Most humans live reactively, letting circumstances dictate their responses. Something happens and they react instantly, automatically, unconsciously. But I tell you this, your power lies not in controlling what happens, but in choosing how you respond to what happens. Consider how much of your suffering comes not from events themselves, but from your automatic reactions to them. Someone speaks harshly. You react with anger. A plan fails. You react with despair. A challenge appears. You react with fear. But what if you could pause before reacting? Here is what most don't understand. Between stimulus and response exists a moment of choice. This moment may be brief, but it contains infinite potential. In this space lies your freedom to choose, your power to respond rather than react. I learned this truth through countless imperial challenges. Each crisis, each threat, each opportunity carried its own urgent demand for immediate reaction. But I discovered that the pause, the conscious space before response, was where wisdom resided. Try this now. When something triggers you, a thought, a memory, an event, pause, not to suppress your reaction, but to create space around it. Notice the urge to react. Notice the feelings that arise. Notice the thoughts that come. This noticing is your power. Your mind will resist this pause. It will insist that immediate reaction is necessary, that you don't have time to choose, that circumstances demand instant response. This urgency is almost always false. The pause is where your power lives. When advisors brought urgent news, my practice was to pause, not to delay action, but to ensure that action arose from wisdom rather than reaction. This pause might last a breath or an hour, but its purpose was always the same, to choose rather than react. Here is a practice I used daily. In any challenging situation, I would consciously insert a pause. In this space, I would ask 3 questions. What is actually happening? What is my initial reaction? What response would serve best? This practice transformed my leadership. You must develop your own relationship with the pause. Perhaps it's taking 3 breaths before responding to criticism. Perhaps it's counting to 10 when anger arises. Perhaps it's sleeping on important decisions. The form matters less than the principle. Pause before response. Remember, reactions are automatic, responses are chosen. Reactions arise from conditioning. Responses emerge from awareness. Reactions perpetuate patterns. Responses create possibilities. The pause is what makes the difference. In critical moments of imperial decision, I would often say, let me consider this. This was not procrastination. It was the conscious creation of space between event and response. In this space, wisdom could emerge. Your initial reaction is rarely your best response. The first thought that arises is usually conditioned, habitual, unconscious. But in the pause between stimulus and response, you can access deeper wisdom, broader perspective, clearer understanding. This is not about becoming slow or hesitant. It's about becoming conscious rather than reactive. Quick response is sometimes necessary, but even the quickest response can arise from conscious choice rather than unconscious reaction. Begin now. In every situation that arises today, practice inserting a tiny pause before responding, not to suppress or control your reaction, but to witness it, to understand it, and to choose your response with awareness. This is where your true power lies. There is a profound truth that few are willing to face. Everything you cling to owns you. Every attachment becomes a chain, every possession a prison, every need a master. As emperor, I owned an empire, but I learned that true power comes not from possession, but from the ability to let go. Most humans live in a state of constant grasping. They cling to possessions, to status, to relationships, to identities. They hold so tightly to what they have that they cannot receive what life offers. But I tell you this, freedom begins where attachment ends. Consider how much of your suffering comes from holding on. You cling to comfort and fear growth. You cling to certainty and fear the unknown. You cling to control and fear surrender. You cling to who you think you are and fear who you might become. Here is what most don't understand. Letting go is not loss. It is liberation. When you release your grip on what you think you need, you discover resources you never knew you had. When you release your attachment to who you think you are, you discover who you might become. I discovered this truth not through philosophy, but through the demands of rule. An emperor who clings to power rules poorly. An emperor who clings to control creates chaos. Only in learning to let go did I find the strength to lead truly. Try this now. Notice what you're holding on to in this moment. Perhaps it's a thought, a feeling, a desire, a fear. Now, just for a moment, let go. Not pushing away, not rejecting, simply releasing your grip. Feel the freedom in this letting go. Your mind will resist this teaching. It will tell you that you need your attachments, that letting go is dangerous, that holding on is necessary for survival. These are the voices of fear disguised as wisdom. True wisdom lies in knowing what to release. When I faced decisions that would affect millions, my practice was first to let go of my attachment to outcome, not to become careless, but to act from clarity rather than clinging. This letting go transformed not just my decisions, but their results. Here is a practice I used daily. I would identify one thing to release, a judgment, an expectation, a need for control. Then I would practice letting it go, not once, but again and again throughout the day. This was not resignation, it was liberation. You must develop your own practice of letting go. Perhaps it's releasing expectations about how others should behave. Perhaps it's letting go of the need to know what happens next. Perhaps it's releasing your grip on being right. The specific release matters less than the principle of non-attachment. Remember, what you refuse to let go of owns you. Your attachments become your limitations. Your needs become your masters. Your possessions become your prison. Freedom is not in having or holding, it is in the ability to release. In moments of crisis, I would first practice letting go of my need for the crisis to be different. This was not surrender to circumstance. It was liberation from the additional suffering that resistance creates. Your attachments are not your strength, they are your bondage. Every time you say, I need, or I must have, or I can't live without, you forge another link in the chain of your own confinement. True power lies in your ability to let go. This is not about becoming cold or detached from life. It's about learning to hold everything lightly. Success and failure, praise and blame, gain and loss. When you can let go, you can also receive fully, love deeply, act powerfully. Begin here. Notice what you're clinging to right now. Feel the tension in that clinging. Then, just for a moment, let go. Not forever, not completely. Just for this moment. This is how freedom begins. Observe the wisdom of nature. The oak does not rush its growth. The river does not hurry to the sea. The seasons do not race to complete their cycle. As emperor, I learned life's deepest lessons not from philosophers or generals, but from nature's patient, persistent way of being. Most humans live in constant rush, believing that faster is better, that speed equals progress, that hurry somehow equals importance. But I tell you this, nature, the greatest teacher of all, never rushes, and everything nature creates is perfect. In its time, consider the profound patience of natural processes. A mountain takes millennia to form, a forest grows in centuries. Even the fastest-growing bamboo spends years developing its root system before showing any growth above ground. This is not slowness. This is wisdom. Here is what most don't understand. Rushing is a form of violence against time. When you rush, you fight against the natural rhythm of life. You create resistance where none is needed. You generate suffering where peace could reign. I learned this truth not through contemplation, but through governance. Every time I rushed a decision, it proved faulty. Every time I hurried a process, it required revision. Only when I aligned with nature's rhythm did my actions bear lasting fruit. Try this now. Notice the pace of your breath, not controlling it, not changing it, just observing its natural rhythm. Notice how it doesn't rush. Notice how it knows exactly when to inhale, when to exhale. This is nature's wisdom operating through you. Your mind will resist this teaching. It will insist that you must hurry, that you're falling behind, that everyone else is getting ahead. These are the voices of fear and conditioning, not wisdom. Nature's voice speaks in the language of patience. When I walked in the gardens of Rome, I made it my practice to observe the unhurried growth of plants. Each leaf, each flower emerged in its own time. This was not mere observation, it was instruction in the art of natural timing. Here is a practice I used daily. Before any important action, I would attune myself to nature's rhythm, feel the pace of my breath, notice the movement of the sun, sense the natural timing inherent in the situation. This alignment transformed my actions. You must develop your own relationship with natural timing. Perhaps it's spending time watching clouds move. Perhaps it's observing plants grow. Perhaps it's feeling the subtle shift of seasons. The specific practice matters less than the recognition. Nature's pace is perfect. Remember, what you force, you break. What you allow to unfold naturally flourishes. This is true of plants, of relationships, of projects, of personal growth. Nature's way is not the easy way. It is the sustainable way. In matters of state, I learned to ask, what is the natural timing of this situation? What wants to emerge here? What pace would serve the deepest good? These questions aligned my actions with nature's wisdom. Your rush is not power. It is weakness disguised as strength. When you hurry, you miss the signs, ignore the signals, override the wisdom that natural timing provides. True power lies in aligning with nature's rhythm, not fighting against it. This is not about becoming passive or lazy. Nature is ceaselessly active, constantly creating, eternally moving. But it moves at the pace each thing requires, no faster, no slower. This is the wisdom you must learn. Begin here. Notice where you're rushing in your life. Notice the tension, the resistance, the suffering this creates. Then, just for today, try aligning with nature's pace. Let things take the time they need. Trust the wisdom of natural timing. Here is a truth I learned while governing an empire. Urgency is often an illusion. The things that truly matter, wisdom, character, understanding, love, these grow slowly, quietly, without any fanfare of emergency. Yet humans constantly sacrifice what truly matters for what merely seems urgent. Most people live as if everything is urgent. Every email demands immediate response. Every decision requires instant action. Every situation calls for immediate resolution. But I tell you this, true importance rarely wears the mask of urgency. Consider the things that have most deeply shaped your life. Did they happen in moments of rush and urgency? Or did they unfold gradually through patient attention, through quiet persistence, through steady devotion to what matters? Here is what most don't understand. Urgency is often a disguise for fear. Fear of missing out, fear of falling behind, fear of not being enough. When you learn to see through this disguise, you discover that very few things require immediate action. I learned this truth through countless imperial crises. Each came wrapped in urgency, demanding instant response. But I discovered that the truly important decisions, those that shaped the empire's destiny, required patience, reflection, and careful consideration. Try this now. Look at your current list of urgent matters. Ask yourself, what would happen if I delayed response? By an hour, a day, a week? You'll find that very few things are truly as urgent as they appear. Your mind will resist this teaching. It will show you all the disasters that might occur if you don't respond immediately to every demand. This is not wisdom. It is anxiety masquerading as responsibility. When advisors rushed into my chambers with urgent matters, my practice was to first question the urgency itself, not to delay necessary action, but to distinguish between true emergency and manufactured crisis. Here is a practice I used daily. I would categorize matters into 3 groups: what needs immediate attention, what needs careful consideration, and what needs to unfold naturally. This simple distinction transformed my governance and my life. You must develop your own way of distinguishing between the urgent and the important. Perhaps it's asking, will this matter in a year? Perhaps it's considering, does this serve what truly matters? Perhaps it's questioning, is this urgency real or assumed? Remember, what seems urgent often isn't. What truly matters often doesn't announce itself with urgency. The deepest transformations happen quietly, like seeds growing underground, invisible, until they break the surface. In matters of state, I learned to ask, does this situation require immediate action, or does it require careful attention? Most often, careful attention proved more valuable than quick action. Your relationship with urgency reveals your relationship with power. When you react to every urgent demand, you give your power away. When you maintain presence in the face of apparent urgency, you maintain your power to choose wisely. This is not about becoming unresponsive or negligent. It's about developing the wisdom to distinguish between true urgency and false emergency, between what needs immediate action and what needs patient attention. Begin now. Look at what seems urgent in your life. Question the urgency. Feel the space between stimulus and response. Choose based on importance rather than immediacy. This is how wisdom grows. Here is the most profound truth I learned as emperor. You are dying. Not in some distant future, not as an abstract concept, but now, in this very moment. Each breath brings you closer to your last. This is not morbid philosophy. It is the key to living fully. Most humans live as if death were a distant possibility, something that happens to others, but not to them. They postpone their joy, delay their purpose, waste their moments, believing there will always be more time. But I tell you this, death is not waiting in the future. It is present in every moment. Consider how your life would change if you truly understood that this breath might be your last. Would you waste it in anger? Would you spend it in regret? Would you lose it in distraction? Or would you make it count, make it meaningful, make it worthy of a life coming to its close? Here is what most don't understand. Death is not the opposite of life. It is life's constant companion. Every moment is precious precisely because it is dying. Every experience is valuable precisely because it will never come again. I learned this truth not through philosophy, but through the daily reality of rule. Each decision could be my last. Each conversation could be final. This awareness didn't paralyze me. It empowered me to live and lead with full presence. Try this now. Take a breath as if it were your last. Feel its preciousness. Notice its completeness. Experience its uniqueness. This is not practice for dying. It is practice for living fully. Your mind will resist this teaching. It will say that thinking about death is negative, depressing, morbid. But this resistance comes from misunderstanding. Death awareness is not about dying. It is about living with complete presence. When I made decisions that would affect the empire, I asked myself, if this were my last act as emperor, would it reflect the highest truth I know? This was not paranoia. It was a way of accessing my deepest wisdom. Here's a practice I used. Daily, with each significant action, I would remind myself, this could be my last. Not to create anxiety, but to ensure that each act was complete, conscious, and worthy of a life well lived. You must develop your own relationship with death. Awareness. Perhaps it's asking each morning, if this were my last day, how would I live it? Perhaps it's treating each conversation as if it were final. Perhaps it's completing each task as if it were your last contribution. Remember, death is not something that happens at the end of life. It is happening now, in this moment, with each passing second. When you understand this, every moment becomes sacred, every interaction meaningful, every choice significant. In moments of crisis, I would remind myself and my advisors, we are all dying. This simple truth cut through politics, through ego, through pettiness. It brought us back to what truly matters. Your fear of death makes you miss life. When you run from mortality, you run from the very thing that makes each moment precious. When you embrace the reality of death, you embrace the fullness of life. This is not about becoming morbid or obsessed with death. It's about using death awareness to cut through the trivial, to access what's meaningful, to live with full presence and purpose. Begin here. Let the reality of your mortality sink in, not as an idea, but as a felt truth. Feel how it makes this moment precious. Feel how it makes this breath sacred. Feel how it makes this life an extraordinary gift to be lived fully. We have traveled far together, examining the many facets of presence. Now we arrive at the ultimate truth. The art of presence is not a technique to be mastered, but life itself, waiting to be lived. As emperor, I governed vast territories, but the greatest realm I learned to rule was the kingdom of now. Most humans treat presence as a destination, something to be achieved in some mythical future. When I'm less busy, they say. When things settle down, they promise. When I have more time, they dream. But I tell you this, presence is not waiting in your future. It is here now, waiting to be recognized. Consider all we have explored, the war within, the illusion of time, the discipline of now, the nature of thought, the power of stillness, the wisdom of pain, the anchors of mind, the body's wisdom, the space of choice, the freedom of letting go, nature's rhythm, true importance, and death's teaching. All of these are simply different doors into the same room, the eternal present moment. Here is what most don't understand. Presence is not something you achieve. It is what remains when you stop achieving, stop seeking, stop rushing toward some imagined future state. It is your natural condition, revealed when all else falls away. I discovered this truth not at the beginning of my journey, but at its end. All the practices, all the disciplines, all the insights led to this simple recognition. Life can only be lived now, not later, not someday, now. Try this now. Stop seeking presence. Stop trying to be present. Stop attempting to arrive at some imagined state of perfect awareness. Instead, notice what's already here. Notice what's already aware. Notice what's already present. Your mind will resist this final teaching. It wants to turn presence into a project, into something to be achieved, into another form of seeking. But presence is not found through seeking. It is revealed through recognizing what never left. When I finally understood this, my rule transformed. Instead of trying to be a present emperor, I simply noticed the presence that was already there. Leadership became not a doing, but a being, not an achievement, but an expression. Here is the culmination of all practice. There is nowhere to go, nothing to achieve, no state to arrive at. There is only this moment exactly as it is, waiting to be lived fully. You must discover this for yourself, not through more techniques, not through more practices, not through more seeking, but through the simple, direct recognition of what is already here, already aware, already present. Remember, every teaching, every practice, every insight points to this simple truth. Life can only be lived now, not in thought about now, not in ideas about presence, but in the direct, immediate experience of this very moment. All the struggles, all the seeking, all the effort to be present, these are the very things that obscure the presence that never left. Like clouds trying to find the sky, we search for what contains us. Your journey does not end here. It begins here. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to recognize the presence that you are, the life that you are, the awareness that you are. This is not a conclusion. It is an opening, not an ending, but an eternal beginning. Each moment fresh, each breath new, each experience unique and unrepeatable. Begin now, not as a seeker trying to attain presence, but as presence itself, recognizing its own nature. This is not a practice. This is life itself, waiting to be lived through you as you in the eternal now. Let this be your final understanding. The art of presence is not separate from the art of life. They are one and the same. To live fully is to be present. To be present is to live fully. Everything else is memory or imagination, thought or concept, shadow or dream. You have always been home. You have never left the present moment. You are what you seek. This is not philosophy. This is reality. This is not teaching. This is truth. This is not practice. This is life itself, here, now, waiting to be lived.